Hello, Professor Kirkland. My name is Sarah Cortez, and I'll be teaching my friend
Luis Morales.
the Condorcet's paradox, and I will be using this Word document that I have right here that I made to walk me through, so I try and say everything correctly. Okay. Now, are you familiar with the transitive property?
No.
No? Okay. So I'm going to draw it here for you. Transitive property. Okay, so the transitive property involves, let's say, 3 variables. So we have A, B, and C. So if we know that A equals B, B equals C, then we know that A equals C. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna set this paper aside. Okay, so now when people make choices and they decide their choices aren't transitive, meaning no one option equals the same as the other. So let's say that we're gonna go watch a movie and we have 3 options, and so first off I'm gonna show you 3 movies that are gonna come out by the end of this year. Okay, so we have Wonder Woman, It, and Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Okay, so we have our 3 choices, and now I will list the choices based on my preference of watching them. So Wonder Woman would be 1, It would be 2, and Guardians of the Galaxy would be 3. Okay? Now this is the order of what I like most, and my choices are not equal, my choices are not transitive. I clearly prefer Wonder Woman over Guardians of the Galaxy. Now you, however, you could have different transitive preferences. So let's say that yours looks something like this. So I'm gonna list this one as mine, and then this one will be yours. So Wonder Woman, It, and Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So for you, let's say It was your number 1, and Wonder Woman was number 2, and you chose Guardians of the Galaxy as 3. So in group transitive preferences, no one will likely have the same preferences of choice because everyone has different opinions and different tastes, and this applies to group decision making. And now I want to give you an example of group decision making using the Condorcet's paradox. Okay. So I have it pulled up on the Word document. So this is what I used to teach him. I wrote everything down as I said it. And then I printed him a chart of the Condorcet's paradox with the first choice, second choice, and third choice. We're combining this video and the previous one. So this is the chart that I've written out that I'll also be looking at on the Word document. Okay, so now we have my first choice is Wonder Woman, we have yours listed as It, and then we have Eric's listed as Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay, so now with the Condorcet's paradox, you want to compare 2 choices at a time, no more than that, because then it gets more confusing and harder, and you'll see why as we go on. So we're going to compare Wonder Woman and It. So Wonder Woman is my first choice, and then It is your second choice. It is my second choice, okay? Now we'll see how you feel about it. So Luis, your first choice would be It, and then Wonder Woman would be your second. So now we're complete opposites. And then Eric will be our tiebreaker. So Eric would rather see Wonder Woman than It. So by majority rules, we would end up seeing my first choice, Wonder Woman, okay? So now we'll compare Wonder Woman to Guardians of the Galaxy, and we'll see how that does. So for me, Wonder Woman is my first choice, and then my third choice would be Guardians of the Galaxy. For you, Wonder Woman would be your second choice, and Guardians of the Galaxy would be your third choice. So already 2 out of 3 people would prefer to see Wonder Woman than Guardians of the Galaxy. That's already majority rules, so we would see Wonder Woman. But let's just go ahead and double check and see what Eric's choices are. Okay, so he, on the other hand, would rather see Guardians of the Galaxy as opposed to Wonder Woman, okay? But like how I said before, it's 2 against 1. So we would end up seeing Wonder Woman. So now let's compare between the movies It and Guardians of the Galaxy. So It is my second choice, and my third choice is Guardians of the Galaxy. Your first choice would be It, and then Guardians of the Galaxy would be third. So already, again, same thing. 2 out of 3 people would prefer to see It over Guardians of the Galaxy. So now we'll look at Eric's again. Eric's first choice is Guardians of the Galaxy, and It is his third choice. So 2 against 1, we would end up seeing It. Okay, cool. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So then we basically explored every combination that's listed on this chart. And so now we're going to talk about which film overall would win against any combination. By what we've talked about so far, can you say which film that is?
Overall on this diagram?
Yeah. Can you say right now which film we would end up seeing?
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. Okay, cool. Exactly, because Wonder Woman is my first choice, and then between you and Eric, it is your second choice. Okay, so now which film would we end up seeing the least?
The least likely would be Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay, why?
Because only Eric has it at the first, and both of us have it as last.
Yeah, that's our third option. Perfect. Okay, cool. Let me see. Okay, so now let me bring to you this other paper. Okay, this explains the Condorcet's paradox. And yes, Professor Kirkland, this is on your slide. Okay. It predicts, so we know that the Condorcet's paradox predicts the instability in outcomes, because it's basically saying, as proven in group decision making, it could be anything. It could be any choice. The more choices added and the more voters added increases the instability. The paradox is not always likely to happen. It could happen. But many sets of preferences result in stable outcomes if voting on one issue at a time. Okay. And then lastly, a solution to this problem is to grant someone agenda-setting power, to bring the important issues or choices to the table and decide which choices we choose upon instead of infinite ones. So to better explain, so the agenda setter sets the agenda and brings the certain issues to the table. What he decides, instead of like the whole population of the whole world bringing all these issues, we have one person bringing the issues. To narrow it down, bringing the issues to decide upon versus just everybody. This also means that there is no true majority rules decision in democracy. The choices to choose from are brought by the agenda setter, like I just said. In this case, I would be the agenda setter because I told y'all the movies to choose from. I made this chart. I told y'all to pick between Wonder Woman, It, and Guardians of the Galaxy. In reality, all the movies that are coming out in 2016 are way more than like 15, way more. But I only gave y'all 3 movies to pick from because they were the ones I was the most interested in, and they are the ones that I feel are the most important. So that's why I brought them in this example. So you didn't do that, so it's not fair to you because since you're not the agenda setter, let's say that Spider-Man is also coming out by the end of 2017. And let's say that was your first choice, meaning that It would have been your second, Wonder Woman would have been your third, and Guardians of the Galaxy would have been your fourth. But since I didn't even let you have that option, it's not a true majority rules decision because you couldn't even decide on the movie you wanted to watch.
Right.
Okay? Now it is your turn to explain it back to me. Please explain it back to me slowly.
Okay.
And
I got a
use
question.
from the first paper.
First paper.
What?
So, do you know about entropy?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so basically this paradox is kind of like entropy, where the more choices you have in a set environment, the more random the sample is going to be, right? So then that's why, like, okay, so I'm not starting from the beginning, I'm going to go from the back, but I'll make sure to cover everything.
Okay.
Said, right?
Okay.
So in a bigger sample, the bigger sample you have, there's going to be obviously more randomness, because obviously more minds equals more options, more choices, right? So this is where the agenda setter comes in, because the more people you have, the more likely the paradox is going to happen. Right? So you have to implement that so that way you can narrow it down and actually get something done. Now, like as you were saying, even with 3 people here, let's say you wouldn't have done that. The agenda setter was not there. Let's say which was you. Let's say you wouldn't have chose 3, the 3 most important to you, and made us choose from those 3. Who's to say, like you said, Spider-Man would have been maybe my first choice, and maybe Eric's would have been, I don't know, something other than any of them, the ones listed here, right? So which one will we end up watching? Probably none. And if we did, some of us will have to compromise, right? Because of the paradox. Because the more choices you have, the more heads.
Sorry, Professor Kirkwood. Okay.
The more heads you have, the more choices there is. So the most likely the paradox is going to happen. So now, when you put in the agenda setter to try to eliminate, I guess, the paradox, this narrows down the whole choices, and then it basically becomes more like a majority vote. But see how if you don't have the agenda setter, then that could be true. That could be be said to be a true majority vote type of setting. Without it, with it, it's not really considered that, because, like you said, you're taking that out of the equation. So it's basically it's not even a real democracy, if you will. Okay, so like going back to this to the example of three, me, you, me, and Eric. So here, since you already did all that, and it's less people and stuff like that.
I'm going to interrupt you. I want you to go through every combination, just like how I showed you, and then at the very end, talk about which one would always win and which one would always win.
Okay. So yeah. So it becomes, so you have Wonder Woman, It, and Guardians of the Galaxy in that order, first, second, third. I have It, Wonder Woman, Guardians of the Galaxy in that same order. And then Eric has Guardians of the Galaxy first, Wonder Woman second, and It third. Now, here, since you and me have it as first and second, and then Eric has Wonder Woman second as well, that would be, if you compare it to any other movie, it would still average out higher than the rest, than either Guardians of the Galaxy or It, because you have it as first, second, right? So it's first, second. Let's say it's compared to It, it's going to be same. For you, it's going to be second. For me, it's going to be first. But Eric has it at third. So overall, Wonder Woman still wins. Now comparing it to Guardians of the Galaxy, which is third for me and you, and first for Eric, Wonder Woman still averages out on top. See, so there the majority. You see how the majority vote works there, because it's more of an average, where it's like it's always, you take the average, who's picking what compared to the other one, and it's still on top of in terms of what's it called, popular vote, right? So now here clearly the what's it called, Wonder Woman would always win, because of the way obviously this chart is set up. Now keep in mind this is a small sample, so it's easier to predict, right? But and then Guardians of the Galaxy, vice versa, would never win, because of the fact that 2 out of 3, which is the majority, would always have it on the least as their last choice, so third choice. Okay. Right.
Okay.
Right. So now
I do want to ask you just a question. Okay. So using or knowing the Condorcet's paradox now, I applied it to movies, so what else could you apply it to? Or like where this situation happens in your life, where you could see it happening, or in the past has happened to you. Like just throw out examples.
I mean, where does it not happen? Let's see. Let's say. I think it happens in any setting that a group has to decide, work as a single mind. I guess in certain situations. Let's say when we're deciding where to eat.
Oh, yep.
Okay, so like if you don't narrow it down, that's why, and it's very common. That's why sometimes we have to compromise, because if you just say what do you want to eat and then start, let's say it's just, I don't know, 5 people, it's already too many, because it's like someone might say Pizza Hut, someone might say Whataburger, someone might say Burger King, McDonald's, so it's never the same, right? So how are we going to choose this? So yeah, that's an example of the.
What's another example? Just throw it out there. Give me like 2 more.
Let's see. Deciding
what time to show up to the movies.
What time to show up to? What time to watch the movie?
Yeah.
What time to?
That's.
What else? Oops.
And that concludes me teaching him. And I would like to admit, Professor Kirkland, that this is my 4th time teaching him. We previously tried to do it on a video camera that we rented from the library, but now we're just using his phone. So I just like to put that out there and say the truth. Thank you. Have you taken Professor Kirkland's Poli-Sci 1337 class?
No.
Where did you take it?
I took it at a community college in Laredo, Texas.
At what age?
I don't know.